write down any beliefs that you have.
Excuse me, sorry to interrupt. I'll give it a pro shot.
Sorry?
Pro shot.
No.
Try going into your entrance.
Thank you very much. Sorry to interrupt you.
Go on. Okay. So.
Go and shut that door.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
get a load of them because they're having a party over there.
So if we do limiting beliefs, if you write down limiting beliefs that you've got, any number of limiting beliefs that you may have, and we'll go from there. It's a useful way to take control of life. We'll talk more. Beliefs. We're going to go deep into beliefs. So, is the world round? Is it flat? We could be here till tomorrow having a debate. And literally at one point, the world was flat. So they said. Well, as far as we're aware, it's round. How do we know the world is round? How exactly do we know? We might go down there.
I've got a friend who thinks the world is flat.
Yeah.
The flat Earth theory is reasserting itself.
It's whatever you
You're
think
saying
it
things
is.
like, well, the horizon's flat. That's how you know
Yeah.
the Earth is flat. And then
Well,
obviously,
horizon is also curved, isn't it?
and then it's
Yeah.
well, if you look at a solar eclipse, then
Yeah.
it's a circle in it. So
Yeah.
obviously the Earth is round.
I mean, and the point being is that we learn from the people around us. I mean, we have an indication now. We see satellite pictures. We see, if that's true, if what we're told is true, we've got to believe something. But the point being, there's fact opinion, and we talked about that on course. Fact opinion. So, okay, we measure this room from here to the end of the room. It comes back at 10 meters. Is that fact? Was close as, and as far as we measure things metrically, it is. If I say it's a long way from here to the end of the room, that's an opinion, isn't it? And on the basis that, yeah, if you're in good condition, it's going to be pretty easy to get there. If it's a 10,000 meter building and it's a board about this big, you'll climb over, it probably seems like a long way. Or if you've got a condition medically, you struggle. So it's all relative. So there's a lot of grey areas, I think, where it is concerned. And, you know, we can explore as we go. I think what's really important too to know is competence, confidence. Okay, so competence and confidence is important for me. And what I mean by that is you could, with all the will in the world, you could have all the desire, now, for me, most people have got the competence to do what they want to do to a point. Sometimes they lack that confidence. Okay? That said, when does a belief become delusion? In terms of, it's a grey area, it's not easy. I suppose as a coach, if you don't feel you can support someone who has a goal, then it might be worth saying, you know what, I might not be the right person for you at that time. Possibly. It's one of them. If someone says to you, okay, they've never played tennis in their life before, and they want to win Wimbledon next week, it's one of them, isn't it? Okay. If someone says to me, Jim, can you fly a plane to America on Monday? I'll pass on that. Okay. Is that a limiting belief? Probably not if you're in the airline. So if you tell me to do a presentation on Monday in an area that I'm sort of qualified and experienced in doing, then I'll do it. Okay. We sort of get the gist of confidence. Okay. And think about it. Should a woman be able to lift a car? A 60-year-old woman, should she ever? And this is sort of to throw it out there. Should a 60-year-old woman be able to lift a car?
Yeah.
It's happened. It's happened, and I read it one time on the newspaper when I was researching some stuff around beliefs. I think it was Schultz, her name was in the 70s, a grandparent. She lifted the car to save her grandchild.
Well, that's the difference, the reason why you'd want to do it.
Yeah.
See, but the car I had in my head was a Matchbox car.
Well, there we go. Yeah. That's another belief in itself. So.
It's down to the question, wasn't it? So.
Yeah. No. And the point being is that I don't know if the papers that we believe, and that was truly the case. One doesn't know. But what I would say where that's concerned is, okay, physiologically, it probably shouldn't happen. Now, I don't advocate you guys go out and start lifting cars, by the way. Don't go out and then try. But physiologically, science says it probably shouldn't happen. But the adrenaline and who knows, So when I say what's possible and delusion and people have got these sort of grandiose plans, and I think for me, as a coach is having that sort of responsibility and ethics to say, you know what, if I don't buy into what this person wants to do, actually, you know what, maybe it might be somebody best support that person. Okay? Because I've got to admit, and I think we all are going to be in situations where we're not quite sure, you know, what's to say. People have come to me for coaching, and I've worked in sport, in business, and they've suggested goals, and I haven't always entirely, you know, and my background in science tells me that, okay, we're looking for ways to not dismiss, but prove in the best way we can something works. And if you look for holes, you're going to find holes and things. So I guess the outcome is useful too. I don't know if you're aware of the 4 Minute Mile. You heard the Roger Bannister story. And they said, this science said that it wasn't possible. That's a quote from Bannister. He says that, you know, that's his quote. And he says that quote where, for many years, they said you couldn't break the 4-minute barrier. It wasn't possible. There's no way you could do it. The 4-minute barrier was impossible. And he found a way to do it.
What was it? Was it 3:57? So
I believe so.
He
Something
did
along
it
those lines.
not by like a little second.
Yeah.
He did it like 3 seconds.
And that's huge in the terms of, you know, the context of that. But the irony was, I think, what's really interesting about that is what happened in afterwards, and beyond that, something mysterious. And anyone know what happened after that?
You just continue breaking that.
And other people did.
Yeah.
And these days, a college person could probably do it. But in the 6 to 12 months afterwards, the barrier had been broken. Okay, the barrier had been broken. So who knows? And I think for me, if you're going to go for something, focus on being the best you can be. Focus on developing yourself. How far can I go? You might go beyond what you set yourself. You might, you know, fall. Who knows? No one really knows in that sense. But what I would say where this is concerned, one thing you could do is break it down to a manageable level. If you break things down to a manageable level, I think you've got a better chance. Chunk it down, like we said yesterday, to a level where you've got a better chance. So, limiting beliefs that can hold us back. Okay, there are patterns that restrict our thinking and often produce negative emotions and thoughts. And think what's blocking you. Okay, as an individual, maybe a new job, a business, weight reduction, get healthier, relationship, and less anxious, angry. Think of, you want to go from A to B, you've got a goal, whatever that goal might be, that's relevant to you. It doesn't really matter. But think, okay, what are the hurdles? What's blocking me? Okay, we've got beliefs around money, beliefs around ourselves, beliefs around our self-worth. It's about thinking, okay, we've got beliefs about ourselves, about others, the world. So you might believe you're lovable, you might believe you're not lovable. You might believe people are bad or people are good. You might believe the world is dangerous, the world is wonderful. Whatever you believe is going to influence your reality, in one sense. The way you see things. Behind the behaviour is a belief in that sense. So beliefs can be fully conscious, but they're often under the radar. They're nearly unconscious. Okay, we know the conscious mind, the unconscious mind, the tip of the iceberg. Underneath the iceberg is 90%. The tip of the iceberg, so to speak, metaphorically. Okay, so more often than not, they operate unconsciously, for the most part. They're outside our conscious awareness. And this is how people have strongly held views that influence what they do and say. Anything from voting in an election, what you believe is going to have an impact on that. How you conduct yourself, how you behave around other people, what you do is going to have a big impact. Childhood is probably the most influential. Because if you think a baby is born in this world, you know, it's neutral to a point, the baby, okay? And along the way, who do you think we learn from? Where do we pick up these beliefs, do you think?
Our initial caregivers.
Yeah, I would think so, for sure. That's all the literature science points to that. Okay, the most influential people are the parents, the carers, and all these things are the most influential people, and we live by these truths. Okay, and we'll talk more about that as we go along. Because how often do we question these truths, do you think?
Not very often.
No, precisely. Not very often at all. And you can live, because if you tell a young person, you're great, you're wonderful, you're fantastic, what do you think it'll do? It's not internalizing that. You say you're useless, worthless, hopeless, what do you think it'll do to the baby? It'll become identity, self-fulfilling prophecy, okay? And the brain, we talked about negativity bias, and human beings are storytellers, okay? We're not telling stories about ourselves, we're telling stories about others. In primal times, the story of the day was you'd go back to your tribe and tell them for survival. Okay, so if I went to the shop in Berry, I'd come back and tell you about the dangers in Berry. Okay, that'd be my story. I wouldn't tell you about the nice parks, I wouldn't tell you about the nice people I ran into. And for survival, we've got a negativity bias. We mentioned that before, and just to run over that, bear that in mind. A little bit of research, research paper here by Tavovnik and Gezevnik and Stankov. Our understanding of the world decision making is inevitably biased. Okay? However, it's much harder to be aware of it and measure it than perceptual biases, which we'll talk more about as we go along. Even though bias is very individual due to wiring of the brain shaped by different experiences, some of these biases are common and predictable, cognitive biases. So more about that as we go along. So you're sculpted by your experience. Every experience you've had, every person you've met, every person that's come along your way in your journey has had an impact on your reality. Okay? We do not perceive the world passively as it is. We notice and remember things which our brain marks as important. Top-down modulation. Our perception filters only a small fraction of the environmental stimulus. Okay, it's your own little unique reality. It's not the world itself. Remember a small portion of it. Okay, and fill in the missing gaps with assumptions and pattern completion. Emotions code the meaning of events. Thus, emotionally loaded memories are the strongest and hardest to change. That's memory reconciliation. Okay, so you make a perception of things based on.
Is that where you delete, distort, and generalise?
Precisely, because if you went to the shop at lunchtime and told me every blade of grass you walked over, if you didn't delete and you told me in the ingredients we could be here till tomorrow, so you told me, okay, your map, and if you went to the shop and so let's say this room, for example, the health and safety officer distorted it. We've got a fire exit in case there's a fire, so it's useful. Traffic signs, distorted, stop. It's useful to a point, but it can also not be useful. Because the dangers that we had primarily, we don't have now. We don't have dinosaurs roaming the earth anymore. You're not going to be faced with the same dangers that we had all those years ago, yet we've inherited those qualities. Okay, we generalize, and generalize is a good thing sometimes because you're not learning to brush your teeth every day, you don't learn to brush your hair, drive every day. So economically, energetically, it's a useful thing, but also we generalize about ourselves, others, in the world. And that's not a good thing as well. I once worked with this woman to give you an idea, and going back to here, and I was working with her for a while, and we were working on doing some coaching, and we got to the last session, and it was quite interesting, really. She sort of got to where she wanted to get to. She goes, "Oh, I've got another thing I want help with." I said, "Well, what's the other thing you want help with?" She goes, "Oh, a relationship." And I said, "Well, that's another story for another day, and maybe you're probably best seeing a relationship coach if you want to." I said, "What's the issue?" She goes, "Well, I want to be in a relationship." And we were doing the coaching that we didn't. She succeeded in the coaching we were doing. She said, "I'd just feel better if I was." And I said, "Well, just out of curiosity, what are you doing about being in a relationship?" And she goes, "Well, I've joined the dating sites, and I go on dates and that sort of stuff, and it doesn't seem to work out." She'd been, from what she told me, in an abusive relationship for a while. So she said, "I don't know if that's factual or not." That's what she told me. And I said, "Well, you're doing what you can do. You're going out, you're socialising, you're meeting people." And she goes, "Oh," and then said, "What else are you doing?" And she goes, "I also, every Tuesday evening, I have an evening with all my friends, we get together, we have a Men and Bastards evening." And I think, police about others, Okay? And if you believe that all men are bastards, how will you react to them? Now, they probably are for that matter. I don't know. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But the point is, will it affect your behaviour? Yeah, so what are you going to see? What perceptual bias will you see? And me, to counter that, I said, okay, because she's very close to her dad. I said, if all men are bastards, what about your dad? Don't you talk to my mother. I didn't say it, didn't my dad. It's what, and her brother, I said, what about your brother? She goes, don't you dare go down there. I said, well, you just said all men are bastards, but, you pick and choose. And so you kind of delete and see what you want to see. Okay, so these beliefs, and they affect our behaviour. Because if you believe someone's a bastard, then you're going to behave, and they might be, and it's all context dependent. And I don't know.
Did you ever get anyone?
Well, that's up for debate.
It's not the most welcoming
No.
relationship to walk into, is it? Just going off to my men are bastards.
No. And we have these things, and in all fairness, we are, and it's idiosyncratic approach. If someone believes it, then the reality must fit based on experiences, based on her perfect storm. She's where she is. So for me, okay, I challenged her in that way to start peeling away, to create some cognitive dissonance, if you will, because in 7 billion people in the world, so if half of them are men, how we use that criteria of judgment too. So that's another story for another day, but I'm sort of highlighting how we run these things in our head, which we'll go into more details as we go along, and they impact our world. Our reality. If you look for good in people, you'll find it. For bad in people, you'll find it too. Okay? That we know, and these things run our minds. So we talk about confirmation bias, what we see, what we believe. I mentioned yesterday technique, Bring the Future. The woman I was working with, the model, who was attractive in the eyes of corporation, at least in her industry, she was getting jobs and work. She told me that she went into modeling because she felt as a child, she was bullied and she felt she was ugly. As a way of proving a point, striving. And ironically, she still had that belief, even though she was getting jobs. In the modeling industry, you get jobs by appearance. You put that in front of people and they take your pictures, they don't. So it was a way of validation to get that instant gratification. But ironically, 100 people would say, you look really, really well, and she wouldn't see that. If someone says, I don't like the colour of your shoes, she'd ruminate and stew over it. So it kind of goes in one out the other, and what you see, you'll see what you believe. Okay? We always find what we search for. And human beings being storytelling creatures that we are, and life experiences sculpting our beliefs, we find a way to interrupt that pattern, which we'll do as we go along in this process. So some of the elements around our reality, is it possible? So is your goal possible? Are you capable? That's another one to think about. Okay? Do you feel the self-worth to have your goal? I want to throw that out there. Who believes their goal or their outcome is possible? Okay, that's one thing you want to examine. The client you're working with, do they believe it's possible? Okay? Do they believe they're capable? Do they believe I'm like the advert says, I'm worth it? Okay, so am I worth that money if you're going to be a consultant? Do I feel worth it? Do I feel capable? And I talked about how the tale of two football managers yesterday, I don't know either of them, so I can't comment on them personally, but one of them, I said when I was watching the TV and they lost a game, no matter how good he was as a footballer, how many credentials he had, he said, I'm not cut out for this. That's his belief. He's questioning his capability, possibility. And that was, Keegan. I don't know him, so I can't comment on him personally. But I know from the interview on the that I saw on TV that I know that's going to influence his ability to do what he does. The second guy I don't know either on TV says I'm the special one, and he had no football experience as a translator, most successful manager in modern generation, Mourinho. So you'd like, and I listen to what people say, how they say it. You'd like to think that has a big impact on our ability. So how many people are good at what they do, but they sort of fall short here? How many people are good at what they do, but they fall short there? Is it possible? Am I capable? Maybe breaking it down. Capability. If you say you want to be a presenter, do presentations. It could be you join a presentation group and learn the capabilities. It could be the possibilities. You speak to people who were where you once were and worth it. That's your desire, your value in doing what you want to do. And it's not, let's say for example, okay, you got up in the morning, you're going for an interview, and you get up in the morning, you've got this interview that you really want the job. Okay, you really want this job, you get up in the morning, you really want this job, and you've got to be there at 11 o'clock in the morning. You set the alarm clock off about 7, there's about a 2-hour drive to get there, you get up in the morning, the alarm clock doesn't go off, you get up at 8 o'clock, you're rushing around getting ready, you get your coffee, it spills all over you, okay? And then you get in the car, you're in a traffic jam. What's your beliefs about that day? Precisely. Precisely. But that all said and done, it doesn't take a great deal to influence our beliefs. So you could be in a plane and hit some turbulence and then you have a belief about flying. It could happen in an instant. So the basis that takes a long time to overcome a belief, does it really take a long, or is it deliberation? Should it really take a long time to overcome a belief, do you think? Is it possible to overcome a limiting belief a lot more quicker than a lot of people say? Because I think it's liberation takes long. I think should I, shouldn't I? Can I, can't I? Okay? Rather than go out there and give it a go. Okay? And the storytelling that people use is quite useful to unravel the distortions that they have. Okay? These are the stories that people say. Human beings are storytelling creatures. Okay? And you'll hear what they say. You know, the men are bastards, the stuff that they say I'm not like. In the story and in CBT with the cognitive distortions, if you want information on those I can send you, I don't have time to cover in each detail today. But example being the girl I mentioned who was doing some training with me, delivering components of CBT with me to staff who worked in care homes. When she started doing some work with me, in her first session, we got 20 evaluations, one come back negative, and she really struggled with that. It opened up an old schema, and she's like magnifying the negative. Okay? I said, well, how do you know? She goes, I can never present it. How do you know? I can just feel it, emotional reasoning. Okay? How do you know? I said, she's saying, I'm never going to be able to be a presenter, and she's ignoring the 19 good feedbacks, and she's focusing on that one feedback, magnifying it, okay, making it a lot bigger, but it's obviously big to her. But when you think about it, 1 out of 20, the percentage is still a lot higher of good feedback. What, 95% good feedback, if not more, and to sort of go down that road and think about what she was thinking about, not presenting no more, it's a pretty big call. So I sort of did some work with her, regressed her, and sort of got to the bottom of it. And then I did a behavioural experiment. So go to the local speaking association, join them, speak to people who started on their journey, see where they are. You're probably much further down the line than them, and go to the practice. And what I did is I got to line up a role play as close as the delivery it was. So I said, okay, even if you practice at home to the plants, or people you know, your partner, just get it out there, and then we'll work towards there. Not putting her in a deep end, just okay, one step at a time. And she got there and it helped a lot. But you can see, you know, people's story. We don't want to believe in that we think. Okay? And when you write the story of your life, don't let someone else hold the pen. Okay? So some of the beliefs that shape a reality. Has anyone ever come across any of these before? I'm not worthy. It's greedy to want more.